Good evening. Happy Monday. Welcome to Creations by Julie. I am Julie. Ed is sort of behind the camera tonight, acting crazy, making faces. But he's going to try to catch your You do that every week, rather than turn it down to start with. But I take it Facebook does have us live, so I should be able to pull it up pretty quick. But he is behind. He's going to try to catch your comments tonight. But if you have any questions, put them in there. And if he doesn't catch it, I always go back and read the comments. Okay, now I'm going to be on. I haven't turned mine down. Okay, so thank you, ladies, for being here. Like I said, I'm Julie, and this is Creations by Julie. If you're new to my page, let us know that you're new so that we can welcome you. I'm always trying to build my page up because Facebook is so crazy. Even though I might have over 6,000 followers, they might only show my lives and my posts to 60 people, if that, maybe. But it's crazy. So anyway, we're always trying to get the word out. I'd appreciate it if you would share this video. A lot of people say you can't say that word on here, but you can't say it if I was giving a prize for you doing it. And that's not the way we handle our blessings around here. And this is Monday.
Yeah, Carol said hello.
Hi, Kathy. This is Monday, so today is the day that we draw a name from our blessing bag. And the way you get your name in this blessing bag is every week I have a new mystery word, and you put hashtag and whatever the word is under the comments on one of my lives or both of my lives. You can do it more than one time. Every time you put it in there, your name goes in the bag. And it's a different mystery word every week. Last week, the mystery word was DIY.
Peggy Ford says hello from Jacksonville, Florida.
Hi, Peggy. Are you all going to get any of the storm, do you think? I got a message from Karen. Yeah, Karen's watching now too. Karen, we sending you prayers. She may end up right close to the middle of the whole thing. So we just need to pray for Florida. We live in Texas, and when you live along the coast and stuff, that's just something is a possibility. And we've had to evacuate any number of times. And it's not fun. It's not fun when you want to go to the store and get bread and water and you can't find any anywhere, or gas. People just go crazy, but yet you need those things. But we are sending our prayers for the people along the coast in Florida. I think that one of the worst things about the hurricanes is, and especially one this size, it's so unpredictable. They don't know for sure where it's going to go in at, because it really is. Just went over Cuba, right? I'm not sure it's even in the Gulf yet. Parts of it may be, but the eye is not. But anyway, it's going to build up and actually get to about a 4, I think they said. But more times than not, we over-prepare. I mean, we have evacuated so many times and then didn't see much at all of the storm, but that's okay. But we are praying for everybody along the coast there, because you don't know for sure where it's going to go in. So, Karen, it's good to see you on here tonight. And Peggy, let us know, if you're in the path too. And you and Karen both check in with me later in the week and let me know you're okay. What?
Maria Francisco says hello. And
Hi, Maria.
I messed my phone up. Hang on a minute.
Okay, well, let me go over while he's trying to fix his phone. What the gift is for, y'all didn't see that. He has a new phone. What, a 13?
Yeah. And
he's going to throw it against the wall because he messed it up. It's a man thing. But the gift this week is this surface from Magnolia Designs. You actually could hang it. You get the jute, hang it this way, or you don't have to. When I used it last Monday, I just propped it up on the fireplace. So that's what this week is going to be. And I will tell you, I had a little bit of trouble with my stencil because I got a little bit of paste down in these grooves, because there's no way once you put the stencil on there, if there's an opening there, it kind of runs down in. But you can take a toothpick and clean it out really well. But you're going to get some black paste, and I did double check. I am sending black paste. Squeegee and Ann, I put you 2 things. Ed took them to the post office today. I sent you 2 packs of white paste. So you get a stir stick and a little container to put your paste in. And then I'm going to let you choose which stencil you want. This one says Gather, has a sunflower. This one says Shine Like a Sunflower. So whoever's name I pick will get to choose. This was our blessing from last week. And so it'll start all over tonight with a different word. So whoop, let's see who gets to choose a stencil. Okay, I was going to read what Peggy said about the hurricane. It may be downgraded to a Cat 1. Oh, that would be awesome.
By the time it goes all the way across
Across the state. Yeah. But yeah, y'all keep us updated and let us know you're okay. So are they saying about Wednesday? I thought that's what I heard, but those were the weather guys from Houston, so who knows. Okay, let's make sure I just get one name. Feels like 2. Karen Hunter. So Karen is getting our gift from last week. Karen, just type in there which stencil you want. You want put Gather or Sunflower. This one says Shine Like a Sunflower, and this just says Gather. Has a sunflower, 3 sunflowers on it, but just either put Gather or
She said Wednesday and a Cat 3.
Yeah, I was thinking they said about a Cat 3. So congratulations to Karen. Okay, let me get this out of the way and get this out of the way. And Karen can let us know which stencil she wants to choose. Okay, now for tonight. I put a picture on earlier to see if y'all could guess what we were going to make. One person guessed it right. She said an apple pie. Well, that's what we're going to make tonight, a faux apple pie. Now, I will tell you before I show you how to make this, I don't know how many of you remember, probably 40 years ago, you could buy those faux pies that were in like a saucer, like a pot. What's that pot called? Terracotta. And it had potpourri in it, and the dough was actually, I think, some sort of clay or something. Anyway, those you could like put in the oven because they were scented and the heat would release the scent. You could put them on your back burner. What I'm making tonight, you cannot do that. Do not put it in your oven because it has things in it that will burn. Do not put it on a back burner or anything. You don't want it to catch fire. It's strictly for looks. Now, it does smell, and you can refresh it, but it's just a faux apple pie, and it's for look. This is what the picture. Can they see this? And I'm going to show you. This is not a hard craft at all, but there is a good bit of preparation ahead of time because this, my sister wrote in there that it looked like fried potatoes, and it does kind of. But when you think cooked apples, that's what it looks like. But I've already got these prepared, and I had apple pie fragrance oil, so it smells like apple pie. But I'm going to show you what you make them out of. You're going to get a sponge like this from the Dollar Tree, $1.25. It's one of the car sponges. And I will tell you this, and I made 2 small ones. But I will tell you this, when you're cutting it and fixing it, it just sticks to your hands, it sticks everywhere. But what you're going to do is just take this sponge and take your scissors. You can squeeze this together and just cut it with scissors and cut it across. And I just guessed. I didn't measure anything. But depending on if you're making a small apple pie or a large apple pie, I've made two, but they're small apple pies. I'll show them to you in a minute. Tonight, I'm going to actually make a large one and put it in this tin pie pan. You could use a metal pie pan, you could use a ceramic, a glass, whatever. But you want something that has the edges here. Now, the first one I made, I will tell you, I used, and I got my inspiration from Lisa at the Silver Farmhouse. If you're not following her page, and especially if you love primitive stuff, she's the same one that made the wreath out of the bag, lunch bags. She does a lot of primitive, grunged up stuff. Be sure and follow her. She made them, and she used coffee dyed material. So this material has the same material. This has been dyed with coffee. This has not. And if anybody's interested, I will put the recipe for the coffee dyeing on my page. If you're interested, just ask for it. But anyway, so this is the first one I made. Okay, not too bad, except to me it looks like I burnt my pie. And so I was trying to make it my own thing, kind of. So I used the coffee dyed for my strips, and then you use Mod Podge and cinnamon to make it look darker. I didn't realize that it would get a good bit darker after it dried. So I thought, well, what would it be if we put a little bit of vanilla in there? Well, I think it was the vanilla that turned it darker. So I thought, well, okay, maybe you don't have to coffee stain your material. So the next one I did just using strips like this, and it came out a good bit lighter. And like I said, you do have strings, and as we go through it, I'll show you that. But can you see what looks like little pieces of apple? I put more lattice work on this one, and I cut down one strip on each side, and I like this much better. So if you're going to do this, I can tell you, these are just metal pie pans that I ordered off Amazon. I think there were 4, but you can use any kind of small tart container, or you can buy these in this size if you want to make a small one.
Sandra Renshaw said good evening, and Karen Howard said it was cute.
Yeah, this is actually going to be our gift this week. You can have your choice. You can have the burnt pie, which is just a darker color, or you can have this apple pie. So your word for this week is #apple pie. Someone will be getting one of these. Now, if you want to do a small, or you could make these as gifts, and they do smell really good. If you're doing the small one, you only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 strips. I did 4 each way, and then I did a few around the edges. So you don't need as many. If you're going to do this size, you're going to have to make sure you get your strips. And I will tell you, this is what's left over. I did these 2 pies, and I'm sure this is more than enough to do this one. So 1 sponge, plus I had this left over. I'm going to show you how to cut it. 1 sponge made 2 little ones and at least 1 big pie for me. But we'll start with, let me show you how to prepare your sponge, and then we'll talk about this other as we go. But this is just the cut end of it. For a large pie, you're going to want to then take your strips once you cut them, and I don't know, they're an inch, inch and a half. Then you're going to want to take it and cut it 4 times. Just one, cut it all the way down, of course. Cut these end strips. A small pie, you're going to cut it 5 times. You want your pieces a little bit larger for a large pie. So just cut your sponge 4 for a large pie. Cut that piece of sponge 5 times for a smaller pie. And then you just take them. Now this was kind of a weird shape. But then you're just, no measuring. I just cut up pieces of this sponge. Find you a pan, a bowl. This is where they were sticking to my hands. I mean, they fly away and they stick everywhere. Now, warning, and Lisa had this warning on her page. We don't have any pets right now, or small children, so I didn't have to worry about it. But if you have small children and you have pets, be very careful that you don't let this fall on the floor and don't pick it up, because I mean, this sponge is not something you want a child, especially when it gets to be looking like food. You don't want your dog or kids to pick up a piece of this foam and eat it. So anyway, whoops, just cut these. I did about a third of the sponge, and then I did the 2 little pies, and then I cut up the rest of the sponge for the big pie that I wanted to do. But no measuring, you're just doing little squares, basically, is all you're doing. Put them in a pan, okay? All right, Ed, you want to take these? But that's what your apple pieces are made from. Once you get them in a pan, you're going to take, where is it? Oh, I thought I brought it in here. I'm going to have to send Ed after something very specific. It's paint in one of the small apple barrel bottles, and it's go in the back bedroom right there, and it's there where I have my scissors and my cutting tools. There's like a couple of little bottles of paint there. I hope that's where I put it back. If not, y'all, I'll have to go find it. But the color of paint I used was nutmeg brown. I'm pretty sure it's by Apple Barrel because I got it at Walmart. Look up. No, it's a little bitty bottle. Sorry, y'all. And it's brown. Should be right there with those pumpkin ones. Nutmeg brown? All right, it's not on that. It's next to that box right there in front of you. Good thing I can see him. There should be a couple of pumpkin colors, and then there's one that's a brown. Unless I put it with my other paints. And if I did that, I'll have to come get it. But anyway, that's the color you want. It's perfect to make it look like apple slices. Okay, this is going to be it. Okay. And it is Apple Barrel. Nutmeg brown. I don't know. Can y'all see that? Ed may have to get it and get it a little closer. But that's the color you want. By Apple Barrel. Nutmeg brown. Okay? You're going to want to put on gloves, of course. And all I did is I had all my pieces in here, and I put on some gloves, and I just took my paint, put it in my hands, and then smeared it like this, and then you just take it. Let me get that. That was to drain some of the fragrance oil. You just take it, and you just take your hands to where the paint is getting on that yellow sponge, and you just keep working it. I probably, for this one sponge, I can't see, but I probably used about that much, maybe. And then I'd put more on my hands, rub them together, and then just, because that's the color you want. It looks like apples, cooked apples. Okay, and then when you get it the color you want it, if you want to put fragrance oil in it, you can either put apple. I put hot apple pie that I had. And what I use is the same fragrance oil that I use for my candles. So, and I happen to have it. If you don't care if it smells and you just want it for the looks, then you don't have to put in fragrance. But when you put the fragrance on it, still wear the gloves. And you know, this is sponge, so it's going to soak up that fragrance. Don't put a whole lot. I put maybe 2 capfuls or something. Work it in and then let it set. Then mine sat for about a day, and then I took it and poured it out on a piece of newspaper. And then I put this piece of paper towel underneath it. That would be good to put in a drawer somewhere because it smells like apple pie. I'm not sure if I'll use all of these, But one sponge did that little bit that you saw me cut up, all of this, and enough for these 2 pies. You want to fill your pie full because it's the sponges that press down, but you still want the rays on your pie. Okay, do y'all have any questions about cutting up the sponge, coloring it, or putting fragrance oil on it before we go any further? You're going to spend more time preparing your stuff, but you can put this pie together in 15 minutes, as long as you can keep your sponges from flying all over the place. So, do y'all have any questions about what to purchase? I'll just give you a second because you know there's a delay. But if you have questions, let me know and I'll answer it the best I can. Again, the color you want is by Apple Barrel Nutmeg Brown. And the sponges from the Dollar Tree is just a car sponge. For the small pies, you want to cut, once you've cut it this way, then you want to take that one and cut it 5 times. If you're doing a large pie, 4 times. 4 strips. Okay. Y'all understand okay? If there's no questions, we'll move on to actually, well, let's talk about the strips, the material. If you like, and I probably put way too much cinnamon on this one, so if you want to go ahead and use the coffee stained material, you could, or if you don't want to, I thought, well, maybe we can skip that step and not have to stain the material. But we're going to be using that stained material for some Christmas crafts. Okay? So let's talk about the material. This is just, I would call it a muslin. I got it from Walmart, and I think it was in the section to where you buy like 2 yards on a thing or a yard, either one. It's just like a muslin thin cotton, okay? And this is the coffee stain. Again, if you want the recipe how to coffee stain something, I can put it on my page. All right, so you want to take and cut your strips, and what I did, you want to make sure, see that's pretty long, so what I did is went this way and then I cut them in half for the little pies, because that's more than enough. 1 strip's going to be more than enough for my big pie pan. So you want to cut your strips about 1/2 inch. And if you want to cut it with pinking shears, you can definitely do that, make it neater. I didn't. I just went about, I didn't measure, to tell you the truth, but when I look at it, probably 1/2 inch. And what I did is I just cut like 3 or 4 and then tear. It's just like all the other stuff, and you're just tearing these strips. Now, they're a mess because you have all of this, all of these strings. Can y'all see those strings? And it curls up. So you definitely don't want it any thinner than about 1/2 inch. I just pull the strings loose, and again, it's not hard. It just takes a little bit of prep time. Now, I didn't know how many for the little pie, but like I said, if you're going to do the open lattice work, you just need 8 for your thing, and then probably 2 or 3 for the crust. I did 20 today for this big pie. I'll let you know how many it took. And this is probably an 8 or 9 inch pan that I'm going to put it on. You could make these as gifts. You could buy a really nice pie pan from somewhere and make it a gift. But you'll have to figure out and measure and figure out how many strips you need. Okay, and you can either use the coffee dye or you can use the regular. Now, this is just a matter of preference, but I wanted my strips kind of flat. So I ironed each of them. I just put them on a towel, laid them out, because you see the difference between these, once you iron them, and the ones I just ripped. Let me find them. Now see, this one's wide enough, it would lay out a little straight, but it still wants to curl. But if you get a little thinner, you'll see how they curl? Now, you could do a thing across the top of your pie like that if you wanted to, but I ironed mine because I wanted them flat. Okay, so once I had them all ironed, I decided the first pie that I did, I put, and this is the way Lisa did it, but you know, that's crafting. You get inspired by seeing somebody do something, but then you change it up however you want to do it. The first one I did just like she showed. I put my pieces in my pie pan first. The second one, I decided it would probably be easier to glue one side of my strips. And so that's what I'm going to do here. So you're going to need your glue gun, and I'm going to have one in the middle, and then I think 2 on each side. 1, 2. You want to be able to see the pieces of the pie in there, but you don't want it so far apart that they fall out. See, but these you can turn upside down. I mean, you can see the pieces, but they don't come out. And of course, this one really doesn't come out because it looks like it's a total crust on top. Okay, so I'll put 1 in the middle and 2 on each side, and then I'll do 5 going the other direction. But for now, I'm just going to take these and glue. I'm going to glue them to my pie pan on one end. And then I'm going to glue 2 to each side, kind of spacing them the same. So I'm going to put 1 there, and 1 here. This is probably the hardest part, is when you start weaving these things. I'm going to go a little bit thinner piece on the ends here. So I'm going to put 5 across. And let's find a smaller strip here. And then 1 here. Okay. All right, so I've got those glued on one side. And then I just took them and flipped them over. And now I'm going to fill my pan. And I mean, it needs to be, I'll move the pan in a second, but you see how they just fly everywhere. But it needs to be packed, because that's what causes the height. And you're constantly going to be picking them up and put them back in there. I finally just left some of them out and stuck them back in when I was done. All right, that would have been all of them.
Why don't you cook a pie that full?
Nah, this is a lot easier. Okay. All right, now we're going to come back with these strips and just kind of lay them over. And then I'll probably pick up the pieces a dozen times. Four, 5. All right, now you're going to turn and lay your strips the other direction, just like when you're doing a pie. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to glue 1 right there, because I'm going to kind of go across this way. And then I'm going to weave it. So I'll start, I mean, it's up to you. I'm going to start by going over this one, under this one, and it needs to be kind of at the edge. And like I said, don't worry about those that fall out too much right now. And then over the next one, Then I'm going to go under this one, and over this one. All right, so there I've got that strip across. Now I'm going to pull it, and I'm going to go ahead and glue it down when I'm sure I've got my thing going here. Over, under, over, under, over. So I'm going to take a little glue and then just glue this one down. But I'm going to pull it a little tight when I glue it, and then I'm just going to cut it off. Save those pieces because we can use them for our edge. Okay, so then I'm going to take, like I said, this probably takes longer, but you've got to see it to realize what I'm doing. So this one I'm going to go under the first one, since I went over it the first time. You're basically just doing like if you're making a pie. And I'm going to glue that down. Okay, so this one is going to go over that one. And my hope is that I kind of end up in the center. And you see why these things fly all over the place. So that one I went under this one, over this one, under this one. Thank goodness you don't have to do 15 or 20 of these things. So under that one, over that one, and under this one. Just making a weave pattern. Okay. So I went under that one, over that one, under that one, over this one, and under this one. Now I'm going to pull that a little tight, and I'm going to glue it. I'm not going to worry about all these that are falling out because I'm going to stick them back in there. Okay, so I'm going to you don't want it very loose, you want it fairly tight, and then I'm going to cut it off. Okay, so then I'm going to weave another one, and this should kind of be my center right here, and I'm going to go over the top of this first one, and I need to push some apples back down in there, so I'm going to glue it on that end. Little boogers. Okay. And I'm going to kind of hope this one's going to be in the center. So I'm going to go over that one, under this one. And you see why these things fly, because you're touching them, but I want to push him back in there. So over that one, under this one, and these are the only ones I'm gluing, and I'm going to go over the top of this one. So that's going to be my part of my middle right there. And I'm going to glue it and cut it. And like I said, when I was doing with the second one, I just saved all these and I stuck them back in at the end. Okay, so I've got two more to do. And you can move them around a little bit. Okay, now this one I'm going to go under it. So I'm going to raise it up. put it there. So I'm going under that one. Get some string. I'm going to go over this one. I'm going to go under this one. And I'm going to go...
You realize what a mess I'd have made if I knocked that whole thing off the table?
Yep.
That's what I'd have done if I was...
It would have all gone in the floor.
Oh, yeah. Then I would have went
Okay.
to the other room and pouted.
All right, I got off here. This one's supposed to go underneath this one. That's why I can't talk and craft at the same time. And then this one is going to go over it. That's going to be under it. And then it's going to be over the one on the end here. So I'm going to pull it a little bit tight and glue it. And cut it. So one more, and then we can stick all these pieces of the apple back in after we glue this side. Okay, one more piece, and I'm on the end, so I kind of want a thin piece. Mine are all kind of pretty close to the same width. This one looks a little thin. Okay, so we're going to do it almost right here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one because I'm going to go over it anyway. I'm going to pull it a little tight. Right there. Because my hope is to be able to turn this thing upside down and no apples fall out. Okay, so this one I'm going to go over it right there. And we're going to cover the edge with some crust, so. Okay. This one is going to need to come over. That one's going to be under. This one's going to go this way. And that one's going to be over the top. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one. So we've got the 5 going this way are all glued when I get this one glued. And then I'm going to adjust. I'm going to adjust the ones going this way and stick my apple pieces back up and under there. So I'm going to kind of straighten and pull. Get that one right there. I'm going to take this one. This one technically should kind of be in the middle of my pie, but if it's off a little bit, that's okay. These are a lot of fun to make. Like I said, there is more prep to it. I'm going to pull this one up a little and pull it tight. Cross those apples. Then I'm going to pull the one here on the end up and glue it right there. All right, now while those are drying really well, I'm going to take these pieces and just kind of push them up and under here so that I've got the fullness. I don't want any big holes around the edge. But I want them jammed in there to where when you turn it upside down, they don't fall out. It's just easier to do this after you got it done than to keep putting them back in there when they pop out. Okay, any questions so far? All right, none of them are falling out. Okay, now I'm just going to go around and just trim right against my, and I probably use those little pieces. I'm going to go and just kind of trim it up right at the edge of my pie pan. Then we're going to put the crust around it. And you wouldn't have to put the crust on the edges if you didn't want to, especially if you had a real pretty, like one of the Pioneer Woman pie things that have the scalloped edges and stuff. I'm just wondering if you could kind of put, if you wanted to give it as a gift with a pretty pie thing that could be used. I'm wondering if you couldn't take material and just put on the bottom. Well, no, you've glued, this one you've glued. But you could take like something like this and set it down in the Pioneer Woman thing to where they could pick this up and use it and use the dish. Okay, so I'm just going to start out by using some of these pieces. No reason to waste them, because you can't tell where you piece your crust together. This was just the extra that I had. So you're just going to start somewhere and put glue down. Then you're basically just going to lay it on there and pinch. Lay it on there and pinch. And when I say pinch, I mean fold back this way. Put it on there and fold it back. Now, you can, what's so funny?
You keep saying this away and that away, and I don't know if they can figure out which way is which that away.
Okay, now I went and put a little bit of glue in those little folds to kind of make them lay down. And you're just going to do that all the way around. And I'm just going to take another piece, glue it, and then bring it up and pinch it. It's kind of sideways instead of doing it at the ends like I'm used to taking a fork and doing it. This is more working sideways to get that little bit of crust look. They don't have to be the same size, doesn't have to be perfect. And once you get this done, we've got one more step, and that's putting the stuff on the top to make it really look like a pie. So I did use all of that except for that little bit that I cut up. So basically one sponge will do one big pie and two little pies. So I'm just kind of making little pleats, basically. And then if I think they're sticking up too much, I'm put a dab of glue to hold them down. And then you got all the glue strings. Now this is the first large one I've done, so it takes a few minutes to go all the way around. because I haven't gotten that fast doing it yet. Now I'm just going to go back and lay those down. And don't worry about it hanging off the side, because we're going to trim that after we get our Mod Podge on it. It makes it stiffer. There may be an easier way to do this. I don't know. This is the way Lisa did hers. And I didn't try to figure out if there was another way. Like I said, it doesn't matter that they're all not the same.
Barbara Rosecrans says, I wonder what you would use for a berry pie.
I don't know. Can you buy those little round filler things? I'm wondering about the scatter balls. You know what I'm talking about, that come in different colors? I wonder if they would be too big for a berry. Of course, then you would have to find the right color of purple or black and purple to make it look like berries. I would think anything, I'm thinking about that stuff that just falls out everywhere, like in a bean bag. Yeah, kind of like that. But I'm thinking what I'm thinking about would be too little. They'd fall through the holes, and they'd probably be a pain. But you know, I'm thinking, Barbara, follow Lisa's page, The Silver Farmhouse. There's actually 3 sisters, and they're all crafty. It's Barb from the Shabby Tree, Lisa from the Silver Farmhouse, and then the other one's the Crafter's Decorator, and I cannot think of what her first name is. They're sisters, and they all do crafts, but they do them all a little bit different. But I'm thinking she has a video somewhere I saw that said faux berry pie. I think she did one of those before she did this apple. I hadn't watched it. But look on her page and see if you might see how she did it. She might have, knowing her, she might have just colored bags, lunch bags, and put in it. She does a lot with lunch bags. If I think about it tomorrow, I'll see if I can find it on her page. See, that's a little weird looking right there, so I'm just going to pull it up and refold it. Let me get my fold doing a little different there. I didn't like the way that was looking. Okay. This takes longer than filling it with apples, it seems like. But we don't have it, just a little bit more. Then I'm going to show you what the mixture that I put together. And you can just do however you want to do it. I didn't measure anything, So the color of this one may come out different. I will tell you that when it dries...
Silver Farmhouse on YouTube.
I'm not sure she's on YouTube. It's a Facebook. She has a Facebook page. She may... The Silver Farmhouse. Her name is Lisa. If you see it's somebody making a lot of stuff from lunch bags, it's her. I don't know that there would be more than one Silver Farmhouse, but I'm not sure. But just check in her videos and see. All right, I've used... No, I didn't. Got one more strip here.
Barbara wants to know if you can send her the link.
I can when I get off of here. Yes, ma'am. I may. My iPad doesn't want to copy links, but I can get on the computer and do it. To where I can go to her page and just copy her URL. But I'm pretty sure I saw where she said faux berry pie. Now, it could have been red berries, but at least you could see what she used for her berries. Or if I get on, the computer, I'll see if I can find the video itself and send the link to you. But if you like primitive stuff, you need to follow her because she has some awesome ideas for stuff that's different and unusual. And I knew when I saw her do this apple pie that I wanted to make some of them. All right, I'm getting to the end. I made that all the way around, didn't burn myself a single time. I have my glue gun on low. Okay, so there we go. Now there's still strings, but don't worry too much about them now. I might try to get some of these bigger ones. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. Now that looks a little big, but we just put him in there so he don't fall out. Nothing's coming out. Okay, now let's make it look like a pie crust. Okay, you need a paper plate. You need, if you want to use the vanilla, you need Mod Podge, and you need just plain old cinnamon. So I'm going to put just a little bit of cinnamon here. I'm not sure that's enough. I'm going to pour my Mod Podge over on this side. The Mod Podge will make this hard, and the cinnamon and the vanilla kind of helps it turn colors. And I'm just going to put just a little, maybe a capful of vanilla. Right there. Okay, and then you're going to take a brush, just any brush that you've got, and you're going to start. Whoop! There, my Mod Podge and my stuff ran together, and then you're just going to take and start coloring it. Now see, it looks a little weird to start with. Some places make it darker than the other, but it's your cinnamon and your Mod Podge that's, when it dries, it's going to make it look. I think I'm going to have to put some more Mod Podge where it's not running into my cinnamon. I mean my vanilla. But definitely your vanilla is, you may not want to use the vanilla if you use the coffee dye, because I can tell it is making it darker. But you're just going to kind of brush it on, dab it on, and it will look different when it dries. That's what fooled me about the first one. I just kept putting more cinnamon and stuff, and then when it dried, it was really dark. So I'll probably have to take a picture of this tomorrow and put on my page and show you what it looks like when it's dry. And this is just a matter of taste, you know, how dark. If you weren't here at the beginning, I'll show you the difference in the two little pies. All right, this is the first one that I did, that I used the coffee stain material, and I used a lot of cinnamon, and you can tell it looks like I burnt my apple pie. This is the one that I did with the whiter material and didn't use as much cinnamon. And I have a feeling if it was me, since you're not really measuring anything here, every one I did would probably look different. That's kind of like, you know, none of my biscuits ever look the same. They all look different every time I make a batch, which I don't make much anymore. I'm surprised Dad hadn't said that. I like the grands that you can buy frozen now and just pull out 2 or 3. So I very seldom ever make.
I wasn't going to say nothing and get cut off on my biscuit.
But that's all it is cinnamon. You can. She didn't use the vanilla. She just used cinnamon, but she used the coffee stain material too.
And that wasn't, right?
This is not. This is just the fabric. But it does change as it dries. That's what fooled me on that first one. I just kept adding to it and making it darker. But the Mod Podge kind of helps thicken your material, and because I mean these are pretty hard. Oops. And you could, you know, give it a coat, see how you like it, and if you wanted to add more the next day, you could. I think when you touch the sponge with the Mod Podge, it kind of helps attach them to the cloth and stuff too, to keep them from moving around. So. And I will, you notice I'm not putting my brush back in my Mod Podge jar. I will rinse this lid off before because I don't want to contaminate my Mod Podge. I may have to put some more in that lid. I'm just kind of trying to get the edges and then go from there. Of course, you can pounce it, you can rub it, whatever you need to do. Use the thicker brush. Don't seem like it took her this long to do hers. But it might have. And if you want, you notice these have a little bit of shimmer. You can use Mod Podge and you can use glitter. I use diamond dust, but you don't need much. Just enough to make the pie look like it's got a little bit of sugar on the top. And you can do that now while it's still wet. And there again, this is just whatever, as dark as you want it. You do it until you're happy. That's what's so great about the crafts. You see something to inspire you, and then you do it different to make it your own. I keep that thing of cinnamon in there in my craft room because that's how you grunge up things. And you could have even taken this pan before we used it and done Mod Podge and cinnamon on it. She took a regular pie plate, looked like probably one from the dollar store, and she grunged it up before she ever put her stuff in it. Whoops. Okay, we're almost done. And I'm going to go ahead and put more Mod Podge on it and put just a little bit of diamond dust. And then if it's not dark enough to suit me, tomorrow I'll add some more. You want to make sure with the diamond dust that you shake it over a trash can to get off the excess. I just don't want any real white places, you know, jumping out at me kind of underneath those. I done shook her. I'm surprised Dad hadn't hollered less is more. I bet he's wanted to a dozen times. Okay. You get these edges so they're not stark white. They kind of look a little pink now, but it will get darker. So I think I have enough Mod Podge on here to catch my glitter. Which it looks a little weird now. And the diamond dust is actually little bitty slivers of glass type. So, I mean, you don't want much. You just want to put a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of pat it. And like I can put more Mod Podge on it to kind of keep it from falling off. but once it's good and dry, I'll shake it over the trash can. If my lattice work, what do you call that? Oh, I have a piece of that on my hand. Would you get me a paper towel, please? I got this diamond dust and Mod Podge on my fingers now. Okay.